Hello and welcome to the next review on Fierce Entertainment. And while we're talking about, if you haven't guessed already, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Now, you might know this right here. It's actually a card that came exclusive at Best Buy for their 2018 Halloween showcase lineup that they have over there right now, which is pretty pathetic. I would really wish they had a Scream Factory release of this movie. That way I could have enjoyed that, which would have been a lot better than this. But this is not bad. Should be back here. Front. You guys want more up close and personal. I do like the artwork. That's why I kept the card in here. Just the actual artwork of the Blu-ray disc is shit. All right. Sometimes sequels get made that capitalize on what made the first film so captivating, and that's definitely the case with this one. I would have to say that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 is far crazier, far more macabre, and far more bizarre than the first one. I also like the comedy perks that they have in the movie too. Dennis Hoffer does a very brilliant performance in the film. Tobe Hoover came back to direct this one, so this is the only other Texas Chainsaw Massacre film that actually matters. Which is the reason why you will not see me review the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, also known as Letterface. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, I will not be reviewing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Next Generation. People always thought it was a reboot, but it's actually not, it's a spin-off. I will not be reviewing the 2003 remake from Phantom Dunes or the prequel, which would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Beginning. I do not care for any one of those movies. Those films are not true Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. And of course, I saw Texas Chainsaw 3D, and I thought the film was okay, but it's still not at all in the same ballpark as the first two films. And I think it came out in 1988, but let me go ahead and take a look here real quick. Yeah. No, take it back, 1986. 1986. But you gotta keep it as original as you can, people. Sometimes having different directors and different directions to take the franchise is a good thing, and sometimes it just isn't. In the case of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, it simply wasn't. So, it has to be Tobe Hoover's original 1973 classic, and it has to be his sequel in 1986. I will not settle for anything less. It's just the way that it is. This film, it just has some crazy stuff in it. Like, for example, Leatherface tries to seduce our main heroine in the movie, which is a radio station DJ. So much, he goes so far with it that he actually cuts off her assistant in the guy that she always kind of stood up but was always interested in her. He actually cut his face off and put it on her, thinking that it would like flatter her or send her sexual messages or something. Crazy, crazy stuff in this movie. And I might add, it's the second time I've actually seen a movie. It's pretty new. I just got it. But, yeah. Crazy movie. So let's go into the premise. Now I know technically it takes place 12 years, but let's see if it says 12 years after in this one. Nope, doesn't say on the back of the case. So I will say it takes place 13 years after the events of the first movie. And the events of the first film have been dismissed of ever happening from the government and the federal authorities. They don't believe it ever happened because there's never been any proof. Despite the testimony of our remaining survivor of the first film, they just don't believe any of it happened because they can't find any tangible proof that it did. But despite all that, there has been, over the course of 13 years, a series of chainsaw murders throughout the county of Texas. Throughout all Texas, there's been all these bizarre, macabre murders called the chainsaw murders. So happening, despite the fact that they dismiss the case that was brought up, it still happens. However, though, there is this renegade sheriff lieutenant, played by Dennis Hopper, who is the older brother of the crippled, or uncle. Actually, I would say uncle. The uncle, yeah, that's right. It was actually, during the second time watching the movie, I figured it out. He's the uncle of the character known as Franklin from the first movie. He was the older brother who was crippled and confined to a wheelchair. And so he has a score to settle with this cannibalistic family. So throughout the last 13 years, he's been pretty much hunting down these killers and getting a pretty bad reputation because of it, but he's determined. When the latest killings were recorded on a cassette tape from this female disc junkie at a radio station in northern Texas, she tries to aid him to find these killers. The killers leech on, uses the same family from the first film, discover her, and discover this sheriff lieutenant, Dennis Hopper's character, or whatever his name is, and they go to the radio station and they capture her in an attempt to murder her assistant. And basically, we found out that they moved from that farmhouse into this old carnival building that has been condemned and deserted. This is vaping better this time because it's smoking through the camera. But the showdown happens over there. Now our main character, our main protagonist, played by Dennis Hopper, is a little bit of a loon too. He goes into a chainsaw retail store and starts like doing sword fighting with chainsaws and buys two small ones so he can have them in both hands. And one big ass one. And saddles all up like that to take on the cannibalistic family. And then he starts sawing the pillars of this carnival. This tries to make it fall down on itself. While having a big, awesome showdown with with Leatherface doing like a saw duel, thing. Of course, obviously, as I mentioned, with my opinion of the movie at the beginning of this review, while in the carnival and the captivity, Leatherface having a sexual interest in our disc jockey, assistant's face got cut off and put on her. He does have one last breath of life in him, and he actually frees our main heroine from her captivity. Of course, the hillbilly family does get her anyways. You invite her to dinner. It is, Grandpa, hit her on the head, type of sledgehammer thing, which they did in the first film. Only it was much more extended and much more diabolical in this movie than it was in the first film. And then, of course, the older brother, the really crazy one, when in charge, had a grenade. Blew the place up. With Dennis Hopper's character inside, so he's pretty much gone or two. Our main heroine, our DJ, is trying to escape. Has a showdown with the last remaining one. Saws him with a sinkhole she finds, and he falls into into the cavern of the carnival. And then that's pretty much how the movie ends. So audio and video quality, since we're out now pretty much about 12 minutes, I have to speed this up a little bit. Audio and video quality. This is not the Scream Factory release. No, don't expect any nostalgic look to it. This is pretty much a 20th Century Fox MGM Blu-ray release type thing. But it's not bad looking. It actually has a pretty good transfer for what it is. I say the cutter templates are pretty balanced in the movie. Still looks a little overly digital compared to something that Scream Factory would do, but it's not extremely digital like, say, Anchor Bay's first attempt at making Halloween, or Universal's first attempt at making Halloween 2. So it's not insanely bad, but it could have been better, but that's probably what the Scream Factory release is for. Maybe eventually someday I'll get my hands on that. Overall, not bad at all on the picture. As mentioned in the first review I did, which was for Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 1, it went very well watching both films with this type of sound technology. The second film only comes with a 2-channel Dolby Surround stereo DTS HD master audio track. But it definitely packs a punch. You definitely feel the theatrical experience that you come to want in a movie like this. There's a lot of sound going around in this movie. It's very, very well. Very good directional sound, very good surround mixes. Everything in this movie is quite good, especially for a 2-channel source. This one is better than the first movie because the first movie was designed for mono-track only. So the first movie is not as directional as the second film, but what I liked is the fact that it still had direction, and that's why I mentioned that when it comes to the first movie. But this one definitely is a step forward over the first one, yes. Well, I enjoyed the movie. I actually did. I always thought it was better than the first one. Well, that's my view on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 from 1986. Did you guys like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Do you like this video? Do you not like this video? As always, subscribe. Check back on me from time to time. Share this video with friends. And I will see you next time for my long overdue review of Friday the 13th Part 3, also known as Friday the 13th 3D. Which will be my next one, which I'll try to get done today, as well as Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I'll be doing after that one, but most likely tomorrow before work. Well, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.